So with Kid Cudi testifying in the Diddy trial, this has led to various people calling him a snitch, and all I have to say is that the CIA won. They have actually beat the black community, and it's not even fair. This is definitely a blowout. They doing Wilt Chamberlain numbers. Well, we all know Wilt ain't really dropped 100, because where's the footage? But it's very bad. From Popeyes accepting EBT to having Don Julio to now people calling someone a snitch for testifying on a literal supervillain who blew up his car. I mean, Diddy genuinely is a supervillain. There is no doubt of that in my mind. I believe in the karmic cycle, and that guy's karma is looking rough. We all knew Diddy was a horrible guy. It was an open secret. And when that Cassie video dropped, I'm glad it woke a lot of people up. But for some reason, the black community is still going to bat for it. I'm not surprised though. Street culture has been integrated within our community for far too long. We are applying those rules to normal people. But before I go into it, I'm gonna go over the actual testimony, and then I'll talk about how the CIA has successfully beat us. So there is an ongoing 8-week trial for Diddy where he's facing various charges, including trafficking, racketeering. This is a RICO case where Diddy is the top boss in a network of crimes that have spanned across a decade. So far, we've had many people testify in the stand, including Diddy's ex-girlfriend Cassie, where she revealed very intimate details of their relationship, like how Diddy would cheat on her and how she was a glorified side chick. But this cheating led Cassie to pursue her own endeavors with the rapper Kid Cudi. And with this being a federal case, Cudi was subpoenaed, which translates to get your ass in this courtroom and testify. You got no choice. In court, Kid Cudi's testimony started with a brief on how he and Cassie came into contact with each other. In 2010, Diddy had actually asked Cudi to record songs with Cassie. This relationship started as friends, but quickly transformed into something more. In November of 2011, apparently Cassie had confided in Cudi that Diddy was and that they were no longer together. This is obviously lining up with everything we've seen thus far, as in the security camera footage and basically everyone who's testified. Diddy was open with his violence. This was no secret, hence the open secret. Everyone knew that Diddy would be the reason behind people going missing. Diddy's violence clearly had no bounds, as when he learned of Cassie and Cudi's relationship, he became irate, and according to Cassie, with the wine opener between his fingers, he lunged at her. Throughout the trial, Diddy has showcased an uncanny level of possessiveness over Cassie, even to the point that, according to her, she said Diddy was going to leak videos of her if she continued talking to Kid Cudi, and even told Cassie he would blow up his car, which by now everyone knows he did. But before we get into that, we actually got to talk about the break-in. So in December of 2011, Kid Cudi got a call from a scared Cassie, and she told him that Diddy had found out about their little connection and wanted Kid Cudi to pick her up. Thing is, Cassie told Diddy where Kid Cudi lived, and I'm just trying to figure out why though. Maybe it was out of fear, which makes sense, and honestly I could make an entire video on why victims go back and how we need to be a little more sympathetic to Cassie. I know a lot of people feel like she's just pulling the rug on Diddy, which I understand where that comes from, considering she went back and had relations with Diddy, which according to her she enjoyed it, but this was after Diddy had raped her. But people got to understand, victims of abuse can be compared to victims of addiction. Psychologically, they develop a dependency on their person or substance, and it's just hard to break. So while it may look like Cassie merely aided Diddy and is now pulling the rug, I really do think that she deserves some grace, especially when this is only part of the entire story. I also want to mention how Cassie was only 19 when she met Diddy, so she was still a young, impressionable teenager when she met this man, which just goes to show that he had a lot of control over her. There's a clear power imbalance, and that's why we always scoff at older people who date freshly 18-year-olds, because it's easier to take advantage of someone who is younger, someone who has less experience in the world. So just give her a little bit of grace. And we just have to remember, this trial is 8 weeks long and will continue to unfold as time goes on, and as it unfolds we will get a clearer picture. The pixels will get smoothed out and the story will be known in its entirety. But my bad about that little yap session. But my point is, Cassie was scared Diddy would go to Cudi's house, and Cudi was confused because nigga, he thought Cassie and Diddy weren't together anymore. But despite all of that, he still decided to pick her up and he took her to a hotel. Now from this hotel, he said that he got a call from Capricorn Clark, who was Cassie's friend and Diddy's employee. On this call, Clark told Cudi that Diddy had forced her into a car and drove to Cudi's house. Clark also said that Diddy was in Cudi's house at the moment of the call. Kid Cudi said he immediately started driving to his crib and called Diddy on the way there, to which he told Diddy, "Gang, we need to talk." Here's where it gets a little eerie. In his house, there was nobody there on the premises. His front door was unlocked. However, there were no signs of forced entry or any damages, except for a few unopened gifts, because this was during the holiday season. Kid Cudi found that his dog had been locked in the bathroom where he didn't leave him, which was clearly some type of weird, I guess, intimidation tactic. I'm glad the dog didn't die, because Diddy clearly could have done that, but That was just odd. Where it gets really crazy is that despite the shit that happened with Kid Cudi being with Cassie, he decided to still spend the holidays with her in Connecticut, where Diddy kept trying to hit his line. But Kid Cudi said, nah, you was on that weird shit and you messed with my dog. Leave me alone. And I don't know, man, personally, if I'm messing with a girl and after I get done messing with that girl, someone breaks in my house, I would not go and spend the holidays with her. I really do feel like Kid Cudi could have been moving a little smarter, but you know what? There is no judgment here. After the holidays though, he did end up saying he was done with Cassie because he was concerned about his safety. Nigga, obviously, you're dealing with the IRL equivalent to Ryomen Sukuna. This guy Diddy has been causing trouble since the Heian era, openly too. The feds are just now getting around to putting him away for good, but that segues us into the actual car bomb. Cause yeah, Diddy blew up his car. In January of 2012, Kid Cudi was hit up by his dog sitter, and this dog sitter said his car was on fire in the driveway. So when Kid Cudi returned home, he noticed the remains of a Molotov cocktail next to his car, which was obviously beyond saving at this point. And at the top of the car was a hole that was cut into it, presumably for the Molotov to be thrown into. After this, Kid Cudi knew he was finished, and he knew Diddy was the person behind this with his weird freaky ass.
King son, man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, daddy.
So Kid Cudi decided to set up a meeting with Diddy, right? In LA, of all places, where he said, and I quote, Sean Combs was standing there with his hands behind his back like a Marvel supervillain. And it almost sounds comical, a Marvel supervillain, but when you really do the research and you see what Diddy does, he really is moving like that. But I wouldn't say Marvel supervillain, I'd say more like the Joker, because he actually did a Joker cosplay, which is insanely eerie because Diddy knows what he be doing. We didn't, but Diddy knew what he was doing, okay? So dressing up as one of DC's most heinous villains, knowing that you're this evil of a guy, that is psychotic. That's psychopathic in all sense of the word. But Kid Cudi decided to still have a conversation with the Joker, where Cassie actually ended up joining this conversation, and all three of them decided to discuss everything. Diddy was apparently calm, and he ended up offering Kid Cudi water twice, but he declined because obviously the nigga that firebombed your car is not a trustworthy guy. And also, you know, he said that it was really weird basically how Diddy was this calm and offering him water. He wasn't messing with it, okay? At the end of the conversation, after both men shook hands, Kid Cudi asked Diddy about the firebomb, to which Diddy allegedly said, I don't know what you're talking about. But a few years later, Diddy apologized for everything. Obviously, that's really vague because everything could be anything and anything could be everything, but I think that's to note. So now that you all know that, let's actually talk about why the CIA is currently beating the black community. So one thing I've noticed is that people are saying Kid Cudi is not keeping it clean. He's not following the street code because he snitched. But the reality of the situation is, what the fuck are you talking about? Young Thug even said he's a rat, to which I say, boy, slow down. Even a decade earlier, Young Thug was tweeting about Diddy, which is crazy because how are you still on Diddy's side in a way? Calling someone a rat for testifying against a person who his ex and also messed with his dog and literally threw a firebomb in his car like it's Left 4 Dead. That's being a rat. And it's not even like Kid Cudi had a choice. He was subpoenaed, which means he legally had to speak, and if he didn't, it's jail time. Street rules don't apply to the government. You will go to jail if you want to play them games. And then on top of that, bro, Kid Cudi ain't even a thug. From what I've seen, he's not your standard gangster rap guy, so why would he even follow an arbitrary set of rules that don't even align with his lifestyle? These street rules are why so many bad people are outside right now. They're why so many black boys end up in prison or deceased. Why are we calling someone a rat for testifying against a literal demon in a human vessel? But you know what? Maybe Thugger feels this way because he recently beat a RICO case. And honestly though, Thugger aside, I can't take him serious when a weirdo is signed to his label. And if you know who Nine Vicious is, you get it. There needs to be a serious conversation about how no snitch culture can empower. They will get away with it because they know anybody who tells will be labeled as a snitch, and for some reason that's worse than trafficking people, I guess. It just feels as if the community really puts their attention to issues that just aren't issues. For example, the way people hyper focus on the fact Diddy is not a straight man and not the fact clearly kids are involved in his crimes and how he's harmed various people. We're more focused on how he's gay, so it's just frustrating, okay? Seeing Kid Cudi get clowned on for telling a story on how Diddy harmed him when we need to come together to stop people like Diddy from terrorizing our communities. But I'll leave it there. Maybe I'll do another video on Diddy himself, but I just felt like this was a big win for the CIA. Cause how do you call a nigga a snitch for testifying against a demon in human form? That's all I had to say though. If you mess with the unsolicited opinions, just subscribe. Join my membership. But I'm gonna get up out of here. Bye-bye.
I'm a rasta on the weekend. I'm in the party, I'm geeking. No rust when I'm leaning. The VIP session is where I be in. I've gotta chill out, cause I can feel all the demons. I'm hot and I'm cold. through all of the seasons. Flights across the country, I'm seeing all of the regions. Life is so amazing, I wanna be here forever.